Today I'm going to show you how to color correct SLOG3 footage in Premiere. Let's start by dragging that footage, importing it into Premiere and dragging it onto the timeline. I'm going to hit the backslash so it fills it. I'm going to unlink the footage so we can get rid of the audio. And I'm going to put a edit about 2 seconds in so that we have a before and after. So we want to be working in this after part. Next thing we want to do is go to Effects Controls, and we want to be able to, we're going to add a lumetri to this. For some reason, when we go into the color mode, the lumetri doesn't let us do a high dynamic option, and so it all has to happen over here, which means Adobe sucks. Alright, so let's go to color correction. There's our lumetri color. I'm going to drop it in here. I want to look at the lumetri scopes. And what we want is the is just this Rgb Parade. So if you have more that pop up, we can make them come back and go away just by right-clicking in this area. And I want the waveform to go away because this Rgb Parade will give us the best sense of white balance in the easiest way. So with our right part of the footage chosen, we are going to hit high dynamic range, and we'll scroll down, and we will see that instead of 0 to 100, our high dynamic range is now from 100 to 1000. So we're just going to drag it all the way over to 1000. The next thing that we want to do is we want to pull down our blacks and our whites. And so we'll scroll down and we will pull down our blacks as far as they will let us. We will go to our whites and we will do that the same thing. We can see that our color balance is not quite right, and so let's see if we can fix that. Now that looks a little bit better. Next we're going to go down to the color wheels, and we are going to pull down the shadows until these guys are touching 0. And we are going to push up the highlights until these guys up here are touching 100%. Alright, looks like we could pull down the shadows just a little more. It's stretched just a little bit too much. Alright, and so now basically we've got all the basic tones covered in our scopes. Now we can pull down, and so basically we've set our blacks and whites so that they will, looks like we can push the highlights up just a little higher. Alright. And so now that those have been added, let's see what happens when we pull down the highlights here. And we see that that's actually bringing all of that information down, and we don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another lumetri to this. And this one we're going to leave normal, not high dynamic range. And so now we will go to our shadows here and pull them down all the way. And we will take a look at the highlights and we will pull those down. And basically our talent's face is right here. And so we want to kind of get that into what sort of appears to be normal. go 50. I'm going to set it between 50 and 60. And so that's a good basic grade. Let's see here. I would like to add a little more contrast to it. So we'll get up here and do that, and then I will pull down the highlights again a little bit more. And let's pull back down the overexposure. I'd like the key light to still be a little bit darker. So what we'll do is we'll get into the color wheels again. And we'll just pull down, see what happens if we pull down the midtones. A little too dramatic, right about there. And I'm going to pull down the highlights a little bit more. No, I don't want that. Before and after. And that's pretty good, so we can render that.